Hi, this is Hillary McElhaney, the nurse preceptor. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Reminder to everyone, my book is on sale at Amazon.com. You're on your own, preparing for the impending healthcare crisis. I don't think it's impending anymore. I think it's happening. It's evolving. You need to know how to take care of yourself and avoid those unnecessary trips to the urgent care, ED, and physician's offices. Save yourself a ton of money on copays, and also avoid unnecessary exposure to people who are sick and overcrowded hospitals. So what I'm going to cover today is where I left off a while back. I was covering Biderman's, it's chart number 1 in his article, Communist Coercive Methods for Eliciting Individual Compliance. Okay, so I have gone over the first two methods, which were isolation and monopolization of perception. Let me just go ahead and hit the next few. I might just finish them all today. What I'm going to read to you is straight from Biderman's work from 1957? Yes, 1957. Very, very good article. It was a study on torture methods and what is effective to get people to comply to things that they don't agree with, that they know to be false, and they do it anyway. Why would people do that? All right, so number 3. So we've got, first of all, isolation, monopolization of perception. Number 3 is induced debilitation and exhaustion. The purpose of this is to weaken the mental and physical ability to resist. To resist what? Well, to resist whatever is being thrown at you. What are the variants of this? So how do these things manifest? Semi-starvation, exposure, exploitation of wounds and induced illness, sleep deprivation, prolonged constraint, prolonged interrogation or forced writing, and overexertion. So basically, this is kind of like psychological and physical torture, what we would think of as torture methods. I know these things were really common in the gulags of Russia as well. Okay, number 4, we've got threats. Okay, so threats. I think we understand when we're being threatened, right? So the effect of a threat is that it cultivates anxiety and despair. You don't feel like you have any choice. You're nervous. You don't want to do it, but you feel like you're boxed into a corner, right? Let's talk about the variants or the manifestation. This would be threats of death, threats of non-repatriation. So these were POWs that were being kept in Korea, like North Korea. So threatening them not to bring them home. Threats of endless isolation and interrogation, vague threats. Well, vague threats. Have we had any vague threats in the last few years? Threats against family, mysterious changes of treatment. So just feeling threatened. Has anyone been threatened with losing their job or losing their licenses in the last couple of years? Number 5, occasional indulgences. The effect of occasional indulgences is that it provides positive motivation for compliance. Throw you some crumbs, throw you a bone, and then you'll behave because you just really, really want things to go back to normal, right? It also hinders adjustment to deprivation. The thing is, if you undergo deprivation for prolonged periods of time, you get accustomed to it psychologically, physically. And you adapt because we humans are very resilient. We are so adaptable that we can get used to almost whatever crappy condition we are stuck in. But if occasionally you are, say allowed to take the mask off for a while and breathe, and oh, nope, got to put it back on, got to slap you down again. It's kind of like when you're being held underwater, when you're at the pool, when you're a kid, and someone's dunking somebody and they're holding you under the water, and you come up and gasp for air, just enough that they dunk you right back down again. It's kind of that type of thing. So, okay, how that manifests is occasional favors, fluctuations of interrogators' attitudes, promises, rewards for partial compliance, right? And then tantalizing. All right, number 6, demonstrating omnipotence and omniscience. Omnipotence means that it's everywhere, right? Like we see you, we know what you're doing, we're tracking you on your cell phones, we know if you've left your house. And omniscience, we know everything. trust the science. I am the science. If you question me, you're questioning the science. What's the purpose of this? It suggests futility of resistance. Don't resist. There's no use. We are too big. You'll never escape. How does it manifest? Confrontations, pretending cooperation taken... What is this? Pretending cooperation taken for granted. Okay, I have to break that one down a little bit. Let me think about it. Demonstrating complete control over victim's fate. Oh, maybe it's pretending cooperation is taken for granted. So you're supposed to pretend. You're supposed to just pretend to agree, even when you don't. And they just assume that that's what's going to happen. You're going to be a bobblehead. Oh yeah, whatever you say. Number 7, degradation. There's always a little element of this when you have tyrants who are trying to run things, right? There's always a group that gets degraded, made fun of, laughed at, mocked, humiliated, ridiculed, blah, blah, blah. I feel like this is lather, rinse, repeat. They keep doing this shit over and over again. The effects of degradation is that it makes costs of resistance appear more damaging to self-esteem than capitulation. So it's going to cost you a lot more to resist than if you just go along and just do what you're told. Get in line, roll up your sleeve, and don't ask any questions. You're not allowed to. And we're going to make your life really difficult if you do. Oh my gosh. This is like the playbook. All right, it also reduces the prisoner to an animal level concerns. So it reduces people to being worried about their survival. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to pay for my house? How am I going to pay my rent? We worry about these things, right? Oh, how about like loss of keeping face around family and friends? If you have family and friends that really strongly believe that what you're doing is wrong, you're going to be ostracized. You're not even going to have like the support of people around you that you need. So how did this manifest? Personal hygiene prevented, filthy infested surroundings, demeaning punishments, insults and taunts, denial of privacy. Okay, so some of this didn't really apply to us because we're not in a POW camp as of this point in time. But I would say like demeaning punishments. Even people threatening to put people who don't comply in jail or, God forbid, in concentration camps. I mean, this was stuff people were saying out loud. And I'm talking about like government ministers from English-speaking places around the world. And I heard some things that came very close to that here in this country. Insults and taunts, denial of privacy, for sure. Well, how about the doxing, right? Like, we're going to dox you. You were seen somewhere without your mask. We're going to take your picture. We're going to follow you to your car, and we're going to put it all over Facebook. You won't get away with this. I mean, it's just complete nonsense, people. Number 8, enforcing trivial demands, right? Like 6 feet apart, stand in the circle, wear your mask, but you can take it off to eat, but you have to put it back on to stand back up. I think those are pretty trivial demands, especially looking back now, don't you think? So the purpose of this was because it develops a habit of compliance. So it's like what we were saying all along. Any of us who voiced opposition to this were saying that this is just an exercise in compliance. This is only to make you comply. We should have pushed back much harder with the masks and the distancing. Because here we are now. Okay, manifestations, forced writing, and enforcement of minute rules. So the minute rules are things I was just talking about. The forced writing would be, for the POWs, they were forced to write their confessions of things they didn't do. So you're forced to comply. You're forced to admit that, yes, you are a bad person, a horrible person. You deserve to be condemned. If you wonder why you feel slightly manipulated within the last couple of years, if you feel kind of confused, off balance, manipulated, there's a reason. You have been manipulated like crazy. And it has been coming at you 24/7 from all angles. And it is really so disgusting and at the same time just like brilliantly masterminded, because whoever thought this up looked at the old research and they knew that we wouldn't. They knew that we didn't know it and that we wouldn't understand it unless it was taught to us. So my role as a nurse educator is I'm here to educate you. And so what we have been experiencing is coercive methods with the end goal of us just giving over compliance. Compliance to what? Compliance to whatever is demanded of us. Okay? I want you to really think about that. We've been played. We've been played. Please get a copy of my book to learn how to take care of yourself outside of this broken medical system. Like, share, and subscribe. And I would love for us to just be able to share some truths that may or may not be convenient. But truth is truth. And that's where you're going to find me. God bless you all. I will see you next time.